I'm familiar with Battletech. I mean, my YouTube is full of lore videos of it, so but I don't want to say I'm a master or anything because I'm like I'll say I'm experienced? Question mark. Medium deep, if that makes any sense. Above average, maybe. What do you want to know about it? I could tell you some things or two. Like I first knew Battletech in like late 2000s. If that answers your question, I don't know if it does, but you know, I've I'm I've known about this a very long time. If you got a question, anything about it, I might be able to answer it. Do you want a like a general breakdown of the factions or something like that? I can tell you that. Time to go into the rabbit hole. This isn't to scale, but this. Okay, hold on. There's like a faction here. There's a faction here. Uh, there's a faction like here, and then there's like one like that. If that's Earth. This is the map. If it makes sense. So this is the main factions, but in the current timeline, like up here is a clusterfuck. Over here is also a clusterfuck. But this is like the generic or general factions, I guess. That's like the quote unquote. Oh, sorry, quote unquote like the status quo. Not status quo. What's the word I'm looking for? It's like the go to faction slash I guess the base factions. I guess this is called the Inner Sphere, right? I don't know why I've worded to that. Whatever. Right in the middle of the map, that's Earth, that's Terra, that's Sol, right? And it's under control of Comstar. Now, Comstar is it's a supposedly it's supposedly a neutral organization that takes care of that takes care of technology, but like the technology bit they kind of hide it for themselves, so they have access to better technology than everybody, and they also their main job is to take care of the HPG network. HPG is basically just space internet. All right, this is space radio. That's like that's like multiple sites everywhere. Not every planet, but most planets. No, I think every planet has this HPG station, and Comstar they take care of these things, right? They handle the radio communications and everything. So these guys, they only sit on Earth, like their headquarters on Earth, but they got pretty big influence, I guess, because they literally control the flow of information, whether it be technological information or just communications information. So they control everything. But yeah, they're supposed to be neutral, and how do you spell neutral? They're neutral, like in quotation marks. They're neutral. Anyway, that's Comstar. They hold Earth. Then up here, this is the Draconis Combine, also known as Space Japan. These guys are literally just samurais in space. That's pretty much it. Yeah, samurai, space samurais. You like Japanese stuff? There's your faction. Over here is the Federated Sons. Federated Sons. Right? And TLDR version is they're the I guess you could see them as the British Empire. They're one of the stronger factions. They're one, yeah, yeah. There's a point in time where these guys, the Federated Sons, they combined with these guys. These guys are the Lyran or Lyran, one of those two. I say Lyran, but I think it's Lyran. Lyran Commonwealth. These guys, you can see them as the German Empire. They have strong German, what do you call it, influence. It's led by House Steiner. This is led by House Steiner. This is led by House Kurita. And this is led by House Davion. Their their capital planet is literally called Avalon or New Avalon, I guess. That's the capital planet for the Federated Suns. It's like somewhere here. Then the Lyran Commonwealth, there's a planet called Tharkat somewhere here. For the Curse Combine, somewhere up here is a planet called Luthien. I think originally they have like uh uh well, guess what? The Capellans are also my favorite. The Capellan Confederation. Yes, a fellow citizen. Space China. This is Capellan Confederation. Basically Space China. Maybe even North Korea. But yeah. Led by House Lao. Liao, yeah, Lao. Yeah, Space China, maybe even North Korea if you want to go that far. Then over here you got the Free Worlds League. I'm just gonna do FWL. Free Worlds League. This is basically America, Space America. Not exactly, but basically. They got like, the corporations got very big influence here. And they're technically in a state of emergency, so that's why they have like one guy, one family leading throughout the centuries. They're currently in they're currently in a state of emergency, I believe. So this one family, House Merrick, has been, you know, in charge of this whole place here, simply because they evoke emergency powers all the time. Oh my god, that's a cluster. But yeah, over time, over the timelines, things fell apart. Capellan Confederation at one time was like this small, like the Federate Sons and the thingy, they combined into one nation. So the Confederation became this small, but then they regained most of what they lost, and then these two factions, they fractured again. They had a civil war. They had a civil war and they fractured in two again. The Free Worlds League, there's a period of time called the Word of Blake Jihad. So the Word of Blake is basically Comstar, but religious. I mean, Comstar is somewhat religious, but these guys are like the extreme religious guys. So they believe that it's their Comstar and Word of Blake. They believe that it is their destiny to control all of humanity. So they are, their control of technology and communications. It's like they're trying to like move the pieces behind the behind the curtains so that they can make everything fall, I guess. So they'll be the ones in power. But that didn't work. They were kind of close to it, I guess. But ever since their plans fell apart, they declared jihad. Basically, it's literally called jihad. So they declared jihad and just began attacking everybody. but they lost in after like a decade of fighting. They lost, not decade. Is it decade? Maybe less than a decade of fighting. They lost, and then Comstar was also kneecapped a bit because of that. But the jihad had long-standing, what do you call it? Like, you know, it has a legacy, I guess. The Free Worlds League broke apart into multiple nations, right? They only recently reunite, but even then, it's still, you know, it's not like the whole thing. There's still like bits of there's still like independent planets over here. The Duchy of Endurian, and I think somewhere down here as well there's another planet. There's another country, I guess, a breakaway country. Right, that's the inner sphere. Then right outside here, you got the periphery nations, and the periphery nations are like the smaller nations, I guess. There's two down here that's pretty popular. You got the Taurian Concordat, and then you got the Magistracy of Canopus down here. Magistracy of Canopus, you can kind of see as like this is like the Magistracy of Canopus is very popular for its, let's say, decadent lifestyle, I guess. You know, this is where you go to have some fun, if you get what I'm saying. Pleasure place. There you go. Torrent Concord, they're isolationists. They like to be they are the old man that say get off my lawn. So they don't like outsiders, especially the Federated Sons. They don't like these guys. Then there's over here. There's a Marian hegemony. These guys are space Romans. They want to be like, you know, they're literally Romans in space. I guess they got the guy leading it is like, I think it's called Caesar, but I could be wrong. But yeah, it's the space Romans, I guess. But they're blue. I think there's a nation here, but I don't remember. Up here, there's like there's a bunch of nations up here. There's like a mercantile league or something up here. And then there's like it's like a there's the Nueva Castile slash something caliphate. I forgot. Nueva Castiles. It's like space Spain that got taken over by people who call themselves caliphates. Then out over here, there's the Fit Velt. And then there's like other nations here and there. That's the periphery nations, the minor nations. And then you got the clanners. So the clanners, they are, oh my god, dude. I'm going on a rabbit hole. I'm not even drawing anymore. Okay, so basically in the 2700s, all of human space, or at least all of the Innisphere, they were under the Star League. Now, the Star League is basically Space NATO, or the UN, I guess. Space UN, Space NATO. It's led by House Cameron. Now, House Cameron is an extinct house, but they used to control like the middle of the map here. They were the Terran hegemony. They control Earth and, you know, all the surrounding planets, or the surrounding systems around here. Anyway, in the 2700s, the Star League control. However, there's a nation, I think somewhere here or here, I forget, a periphery nation called the Rimswar Republic. I think I could be wrong. Let's just go for Rimswar Republic. I could be wrong. I don't remember the name, but this nation here. Oh yeah, there's like pirate nations. There's like a pirate nation over here. The something Federation. The heck was it called? There's a pirate nation. There's a pirate nation here. There's the Oregon Coalition over here. And then, you know, there's a lot of pirate nations here and there and everywhere. Anyway, Rimswar Republic. It was led by House Amaris, Amaris. So around this time, House Amaris was led by a guy called Stefan Amaris, right? And this guy, he befriended the let's say the emperor, I guess, just to make it easy for you. The overall emperor of the Star League, the first lord, that's the name. The first lord of House Cameron. I forgot the guy's name, but it was a kid. I think no, it was either a kid or a young man. But basically, this guy Stefan Amaris befriended that kid, Cameron kid, right? He literally just stood by his side for years on end. He basically groomed him, all right? And then sometime around I think it was him that instigated it, but that was like a war up here against a periphery nation. So the SLDF is the military arm of the Star League, right? So there's like a war up here. The SLDF was like busy going up there. So when the SLDF went up there to take care of that war, Stefan Amaris killed that kid and the entire House Cameron. So House Cameron gone. This guy was the culprit. He killed the entire house and then declared himself First Lord. First Lord of the Star League. So, the SLDF, when they heard this happen, they were led by a guy called Alexander. I don't know how to spell his name actually. Something like that. Alexander Kerensky. So he's like the general of the SLDF, right? When he heard this happen, he did a giant U-turn and just blitzed to Earth, to Terra. He blitzed to Terra, right? After years of fighting, he fucking kills this guy, right? He's dead now. And then Alexander Kerensky, he called upon the lords of the Draconis Combine, Lyrian Commonwealth, Confederation, Free Worlds League, and Federated Sons. They called them to a meeting, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they call them to a meeting and what to do with the Star League, right? Who's gonna be the next one? So when that happened, every single one of these guys, or maybe some, I think it was the Draconis Combine mainly. He was like, I'm the first lord. No, I'm the first lord. Everybody was like, putting their claim as the first lord. And Alexander Kerensky here, he was like, fuck this shit. He took his army and just flew into deep space up here. He just disappeared. That's called the Exodus. So his army, right, this Exodus army just went north or coreward. And eventually they found like 5 planets. This is called the Pentagon Worlds, right? Pentagon Worlds, they settled there, but eventually these planets, developed their own nations and they fought each other. And then people who were fed up with that, they left the Pentagon Worlds to go even further north. And further north they found a region of space that will be called the Clan Space. So, Alexander Kerensky kid, Nikolai, I think was his name. I believe, is it Nikolai? I don't remember his name. Something. I think it was Nikolai, I could be wrong. He founded the clans. The clans are a warrior society. There's like 20 clans originally, but it's been trimmed down to like a couple over the years. It's been trimmed down to 13 or something like that. So it started with 12 clans, and these guys are what do you call that? They're warrior society. They got what do you call that? Genetically engineering, genetics, all that good stuff, right? So these guys are strong. And because they left war behind, they kept all the technology. And then from there they just kept innovating and kept improving the technology. While the Innisphere was descending into chaos, right? Because of everybody was claiming to be the first lord. There was wars happening. Everyone was in the middle of a war. This time frame was called the Succession Wars, where everybody fought to be. There's 4 succession wars where everybody fought to be the first lord. Was the first lord? The first lord, right? So everybody fought to be the first lord. It's called the Succession Wars era. And during this era, especially in the first and second war, technology just went downhill because everybody just destroyed everything. Like indiscriminate destruction. They just destroyed everything. So technology in the sphere went downhill for like a couple of centuries. Excuse me. While in clan space, because they didn't fight each other, or they did fight, but they were very reserved with their fighting. Their technology, improved a lot over the centuries. Anyway, the clan's dream is to return back to the Innisphere and reestablish the Star League and, becomes the master of humanity. However, some of the clanners of first once they grown up here, they went back to the Pentagon worlds and retook everything. They destroyed all the warring nations there and took the planets for themselves. And these guys, their dream is to go back to the Innisphere and establish a Star League. However, over time, some of the clanners was like, we can't be bothered with that shit, man. We got stuff to do here. We are peaceful here, right? We are doing good here, but some want to go back. And then one day, just a random civilian ship, right? They were just exploring deep space, right? They were just charting out planets to see what's out there. One day, they just came upon the clans. And then the clans hounded upon them, right? They captured them and everything. And so, when this happened, the clans was like, oh shit, the Innispheres, they're gonna attack us. This is their scout ship. When it's not a scout ship, it's literally just a civilian, just charting out empty space. It's just an explorer, just charting empty space. But these guys were panicking, like, oh shit, they're gonna attack us. We gotta attack them first. So they did. That's called the clan invasion. So the clan invasion happened. This is a clusterfuck or whatever. And yeah, they went down here. They carved like an entire section right here. This entire section of human space, the clans took it. It was split between 3 to 4 clans. And oh my god, dude, I'm here. I'm supposed to be drawing, not this. But yeah, that's the gist of it, I guess. Afterwards, after the clan was a civil war. After the clan was stopped, the Innisphere won, or at least they managed to get a ceasefire. They what do you call that? No, they did win. Once they did win, that's when the what do you call that? No, wait. Before that, when the clans attacked the Innisphere, they combined. They made the second Star League. They made the second Star League, and the whole idea for the Star League is to fight the clans, which they successfully fought. And they didn't push them back though. The clans kept the worlds. They couldn't push them back. They kept the worlds, right? So yeah, after the clan was over, the clan threat was over, the second Star League fell apart because people start pulling out. The Capellan Confederation pulled out, then the Lyran Commonwealth and the Federations pulled out. Wait, no, before that. Before the destruction of the second Star League, there was a civil war. The civil war split the Lyran Commonwealth and the Federate Sons back to the individual nations, because before they were a single nation. During the Fourth Secession War, the last Secession War, the Fourth Secession War, that's when they combine into a single nation and attack everybody and won huge chunks of land, of planets even. But then once the kids took over, that's when the Civil War happened. Civil War happened, the nation split into two again. And then after the Civil War, that's when the jihad happened, because when the second Star League crumbled, the word of Blake was like, "No, you ruined our plan," and that's when the jihad happened. And then after like less around a decade of fighting, that's when the jihad doesn't exist anymore. And then in the middle of of here, a new nation was born called the Republic of Sphere. I haven't done much reading on them yet, so I can't really tell much about them. But what I can tell you is that sometime later in 31, 40, or 50 something, I think it's 51, 31, 51, the Republic of Sphere died. The clans continued their invasion, and they took over. They took over Earth, and they created a new Star League, the third Star League. And that's where the current timeline is at. I know it was a bit of a clusterfuck, but there you go. I gotta go back to drawing. Hopefully that I don't know what that did, but hopefully that did something. I want to go back drawing now. If you got any questions, just ask. Especially for the Capellan Confederation, because I'm currently covering them on my YouTube. So everything else, I'm not gonna say that I know stuff, because I don't. But I might know some things that could answer your questions. Any potential questions that you have. I don't know if I even explained it correctly or clearly enough for you to understand. Did you understand what I told you just now? Extremely nerd shit. It's funny how I was explaining that. The freaking Christmas song explained. I mean, you don't hear it, but I'm hearing it. You understand? Well, thank you. Yeah, before the Star League was the Age of War. That's when all the nations, that's when they were fighting each other all the time. But it wasn't particularly barbaric, I guess, compared to the Succession Wars. So the Age of War ended when the Terran hegemony created the Star League and invited everybody in. Then it was this Star League was an age of peace. Basically, it was a golden age. It was an age of peace in the Innisphere. The periphery, they weren't particularly safe during the Star League era. There was a period that there was the Star League kind of they didn't want to join the Star League, but the Star League was like, no, you're joining. You don't have a choice. So that's called a reunification war, a war to reunify humanity. Basically, was the idea, I believe. Lana, do you have a favorite mech? The reason why I like the Confederation in the first place is because of a mech that they made and I like. And then from there, I just immerse myself in their lore, and I mean, I'm not stupid enough to not realize that they're not exactly the best place to live, but they're kind of funny. They're kind of fun, not funny. I like them still. Like if I was in the Battletech universe and I could choose where to live, I don't know if I would choose a Confederation. Maybe I would still, but objectively speaking, it's not it's not the freest of societies. It's literally I mean, it's not a communist country, but it kind of runs like one. It's not, yeah, it's not communist, but it's a very communal based society, I guess. It's a very yeah. The self is not as important as the state kind of country. I'm saying, but I still like them anyway. Oh, so you know what? If you like the Japan Confederation, would you like to know more? I have an entire series that's still ongoing. Woohoo! Wait. But if you do end up watching it, watch the Before the Confederation series first, though. That covers the nations before the Capellan Federation. Nations that make up the Capellan Federation, but before they became the Capellan Confederation. So basically, in the Age of War, it wasn't the five nations that we all know, or six, I guess, because there's the Terran Hegemony, that's the Draconis Combine, the Federate Sons, the Capellan Federation, Free Worlds League, and the Delirian Commonwealth, right? Before they became five nations, they were literally like this just dozens of like small nations. Excuse me, here, there, and everywhere, right? And they slowly combine into one through a set of circumstances, and that's how the what do you call it, the successor states became a thing. So if you do end up watching more series, start with the series called Before the Confederation. That covers the pre-Capellan nations. Yeah.